After 60, walking is not enough texto principle. This changed how I walk. What if the thing you were told would keep you independent after 60 was slowly failing you? I asked myself that question on a morning that felt completely ordinary, until I stood up, took a few steps, and realized my legs didn't feel connected to the floor anymore. I had been walking every day for years. Short walks, long walks, slow walks. Everyone said walking was enough. I believed it. But something had changed. At first, it was subtle. My legs felt heavy, especially at the start of a walk. Not pain, not injury. Just a strange delay, like my body needed time to wake up. Then came the instability. Nothing dramatic. Just a slight hesitation when turning, a moment of uncertainty on uneven ground, a quiet loss of confidence I couldn't explain. I kept walking anyway, because that's what responsible people over 60 are told to do. What I didn't realize back then was that walking alone was no longer stimulating my circulation the way it used to. My legs weren't pumping blood efficiently, my stabilizing muscles weren't being challenged, and my balance system was slowly getting lazy. The scariest part wasn't the physical sensation. It was the thought that crept in afterward. The thought that maybe this was just how it goes after a certain age. I never talked about that fear, but it was there. The fear of tripping, the fear of falling, the fear of one bad moment changing everything. Walking started to feel less like freedom and more like something I had to be careful with. I shortened my routes. I avoided slopes. I watched the ground instead of the horizon. Then one morning, after a walk that left my legs more tired than energized, I stopped and admitted something to myself. Walking was no longer building me up. It was maintaining a system that was already declining. And that realization hit hard, because if walking wasn't enough anymore, I needed to find what came next. That's when I started looking for something different. Not harder, not aggressive, just smarter. Something that could wake up circulation, retrain balance, and give me control back while walking, not just movement. And what I discovered next completely changed how my legs felt from the inside out. If any part of this felt familiar to you, pause for a second and let me know in the comments. Tell me if walking has ever stopped feeling safe or effective for you, even if you couldn't explain why. Reading those experiences matters because understanding what your body is telling you is the first step toward staying independent longer. If this kind of explanation helps you see your legs, balance, and circulation differently, take a moment to like this video. That simple action helps this message reach other people over 60 who quietly feel the same fear but don't talk about it. And if you want practical, realistic ways to keep walking with confidence as the years pass, make sure you're subscribed to the I channel. Everything here is built for real life, not extreme fitness or medical promises. Now tell me this in the comments. Have your legs ever felt heavy or unstable at the start of a walk? For a long time, I told myself it was nothing. That heavy feeling in my legs at the start of a walk. The stiffness when standing up after sitting. The slow first steps that felt awkward before things loosened up. I blamed age. I blamed mornings. I blamed cold weather. What I didn't realize was that my body was sending me a very clear message, and I was choosing to ignore it. The sensation wasn't pain, and that's why it was so easy to dismiss. It felt more like pressure, like my legs were filled with sand instead of strength. Sometimes there was a mild swelling by the end of the day. Other times, a strange fatigue that didn't match the distance I had walked. I could still move, so I assumed everything was fine. But deep down, something felt off. What I later learned is that this heaviness wasn't weakness. It was circulation slowing down. As we get past 60, blood doesn't move through the legs as efficiently unless it's actively stimulated. Walking, especially at a comfortable pace, often isn't enough anymore. It keeps you moving forward, but it doesn't fully wake up the deeper flow that feeds your muscles and supports stability. Here's the part that surprised me. When circulation slows, your legs don't just feel tired. Your balance system starts compensating. Your steps become more cautious without you realizing it. Your posture subtly changes, and that's when confidence begins to fade. Not because you're incapable, but because your body doesn't feel reliable anymore. I remember one moment clearly. I was stepping off a curb, something I had done thousands of times in my life, and I hesitated, just for a second. But that second stayed with me. It wasn't fear of falling yet. It was uncertainty. And uncertainty while walking is dangerous because it changes how you move without you noticing. That was when I finally stopped ignoring the signal. Heavy legs weren't just discomfort. They were a warning that my circulation and control needed something more specific than walking. Something that could push blood back into the legs, activate stability muscles, and restore that sense of connection between my feet and the ground. And once I addressed that, something unexpected happened. The heaviness didn't just fade, it transformed into a feeling of warmth, responsiveness, and support that I hadn't felt in years. That's when I knew I was on the right path. I still remember the first day it happened, because it didn't feel like exercise at all. There was no burn, no strain, no exhaustion. Instead, there was a quiet sensation spreading through my legs, almost like warmth moving downward, then back up again. It caught my attention immediately because it felt different from anything walking had ever given me. Before that, my legs always felt like they were dragging me forward. Afterward, they felt like they were responding. That's the best way I can describe it. It wasn't about pushing harder or going farther. It was about my legs finally participating again instead of just carrying weight. The movement I had started doing forced blood to move with intention, not momentum. What surprised me most was how quickly my feet changed. They felt more alive, more aware of the ground. When circulation improves, you don't just feel it in your calves or thighs. You feel it in how your foot lands, how your toes adjust, how your ankle reacts without delay. That feedback had been missing for years, and I didn't even know it. This was the moment I understood something important. Poor circulation doesn't announce itself with pain. It shows up as dullness, slowness, a delay between thought and movement. And once that delay disappears, confidence starts creeping back in before you consciously decide to trust your body again. I noticed it later that day when I stood up from a chair. Normally, there was a pause, a small reset before taking the first step. That pause was gone. My legs responded immediately. The flow was there, steady and reliable. It felt like my lower body had switched back on. That's when I stopped thinking of movement as exercise and started seeing it as communication. The right movement sends a message to your circulation system, telling it to open, support, and respond. Walking alone wasn't sending that message anymore. But this was. And once circulation returned, something else began to change right alongside it. My balance started to feel different, not stronger, but calmer, more controlled. And that led to the biggest shift of all. The change in balance didn't arrive with fireworks. It arrived quietly, almost unnoticed, until one day I realized I wasn't thinking about my steps anymore. Before that, every walk came with a mental checklist. Watch the ground. Slow down on turns. Be careful on uneven surfaces. That constant monitoring was exhausting, and I didn't even realize how much energy it was stealing from me. What shifted first wasn't my legs. It was my sense of control. My body started making small adjustments on its own again. When my foot landed slightly off, my ankle corrected without hesitation. When I turned, my weight shifted smoothly instead of stiffly. These are tiny things, but they are everything when you're over 60 and trying to stay independent. I remember walking through a parking lot with uneven pavement. Normally, I would shorten my stride and tense up. That day, I didn't. My posture stayed relaxed. My steps felt grounded. For the first time in a long while, walking felt automatic again, the way it's supposed to feel. That's when I understood the connection between circulation and balance. When blood flow improves, your muscles don't just get warmer, they get more responsive. The small stabilizing muscles around the ankles, knees, and hips wake up. And those muscles are what keep you upright when something unexpected happens. Balance isn't about standing still on one leg. It's about how confidently your body reacts while moving. And the exercise I had started was quietly retraining that reaction system, not through force, but through repetition and control. My nervous system was learning to trust my legs again. The fear I had been carrying, the fear of misstepping or losing control, began to loosen its grip. I stopped scanning for danger and started enjoying the walk itself. That mental shift was just as important as the physical one, because confidence while walking changes how you move, how you breathe, and how you carry yourself. And once that confidence returned, something unexpected followed. I wasn't just walking better. I was moving through my day differently. Standing, turning, reaching, everything felt more stable. That's when I realized this wasn't just about walking anymore. It was about rebuilding trust in my body. What surprised me most about this exercise was how gentle it felt, especially compared to what it gave back. I had expected something demanding, something that would leave my legs tired or sore. Instead, it felt controlled, calm, almost reassuring. There was no pounding on the joints, no sharp movements, no pressure on my knees or hips. And yet, day after day, my stability kept improving. The key was how the movement forced my body to work together instead of in isolation. My feet stayed connected to the ground. My ankles had to adjust, my legs had to support me evenly, and my posture had to stay upright and balanced. It wasn't about speed or effort. It was about awareness and control, two things that quietly fade with age if we don't train them on purpose. At first, I noticed the change when standing still. I felt less sway, less need to grab onto something nearby. Then I noticed it when turning quickly or stepping sideways. Movements that used to feel uncertain now felt smooth. My body wasn't guessing anymore. It knew where it was in space. What made this exercise different from walking was that it challenged my balance system directly. Walking moves you forward, but it rarely asks your body to stabilize, adjust, and respond in different directions. This movement did exactly that. It trained the muscles and nerves responsible for keeping you upright when life doesn't move in a straight line. Another unexpected benefit was how fresh my legs felt afterward. Instead of heaviness, there was lightness. Instead of fatigue, there was energy. That told me circulation was still working long after I finished. Blood was moving, muscles were awake, and my joints felt supported rather than stressed. Over time, I stopped thinking of this exercise as something I did. It became something I relied on, a way to remind my body how to stay steady, a way to protect my independence without risking injury. And the best part was knowing I could do it consistently, without fear of overdoing it. As stability returned, something deeper shifted. I didn't just feel safer while moving. I felt more confident making decisions with my body. That confidence started showing up everywhere, not just during walks. The real transformation didn't happen all at once. It happened quietly, through small moments that added up. One day, I noticed I was walking faster without trying. Another day, I realized I wasn't thinking about where to place my feet anymore. And then it hit me. I wasn't just more stable, I was more confident inside my own body. Before, every movement carried a question mark. Standing up from a chair, turning quickly in the kitchen, stepping onto a bus curb. There was always a pause, a moment of hesitation where my mind checked in with my legs to see if they were ready. That constant negotiation disappears when confidence returns, and when it did, my entire day felt lighter. What surprised me most was how this confidence came from control, not strength. I didn't feel bigger or more powerful. I felt coordinated. My legs responded when I asked them to. My balance adjusted without panic. My posture stayed upright without effort. These are the things that make you feel capable again after 60. I remember carrying groceries and realizing my steps felt solid, even with extra weight. I remember turning my head while walking and not losing rhythm. These moments seem small, but they're the difference between living cautiously and living freely. Confidence while walking isn't about bravery, it's about trust. and I had rebuilt that trust from the ground up. Another change I didn't expect was how my energy spread throughout the day. When movement feels safe, your body stops holding tension. My shoulders relaxed. My breathing deepened. Even my sleep improved, because my nervous system wasn't constantly on alert during the day. This exercise didn't just train my legs. It retrained my relationship with movement. I stopped avoiding situations that felt risky. I stopped planning my day around safe routes and surfaces. I started moving the way I used to, naturally and without fear. And that's when I realized something important. Walking didn't fail me because it was bad. It failed me because my body needed something more specific. Something that addressed circulation, balance, and control at the same time. Once I understood that, the final piece of the puzzle became clear. Looking back now, the reason this exercise worked is obvious, but it took me years to understand it. Walking moves you forward, but it doesn't ask much from your body once you fall into a rhythm. After 60, that rhythm can become a comfort zone that slowly stops challenging circulation, balance, and control. My body wasn't breaking down. It was understimulated in the ways that mattered most. This movement changed that because it spoke directly to the systems that keep you independent. It made my legs push blood upward instead of letting it pool. It forced my balance system to stay alert instead of passive. And it trained my body to react, adjust, and stabilize without conscious effort. Walking alone never demanded that anymore. What mattered most was how easily it fit into my life. I didn't need special equipment. I didn't need long sessions. I didn't need to recover afterward. I simply built it into my day, often in the morning when my legs felt stiffest, or later in the evening when circulation slowed. That consistency made all the difference. Over time, my routine stopped being about exercise and became about protection. Protecting my legs from heaviness, protecting my balance from decline, protecting my confidence while walking. The movement acted like a daily reset, reminding my body how to function instead of just how to move. I also noticed how everything connected. Better circulation made my legs feel lighter. Lighter legs made balance easier. Better balance restored confidence. And confidence changed how I walked, stood, and carried myself. It was a chain reaction that started with one simple decision to stop relying on walking alone. Now, walking feels different again. Not cautious, not forced. It feels like an extension of a body that knows how to support itself. And that's the real goal after 60. Not more steps, not harder workouts, but movements that keep you steady, responsive, and in control for as long as possible. If you stayed with me until here, it tells me something important. It tells me you care about staying independent, steady, and confident as the years go on. And that mindset alone already puts you ahead. If this story reflected something you felt in your own body, take a moment now and leave a comment saying, "I want to walk with confidence again." I read every single comment, and your words help build a community of people who refuse to give up control of their movement. If this video helped you understand your legs, balance, and circulation in a new way, please leave a like. That simple action helps this message reach other people over 60 who quietly feel the same changes but don't know what to do next. And if you want more practical, realistic guidance focused on mobility, stability, and living well with age, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Right now, there's another video appearing on your screen that continues this conversation and shows the next step to protect your legs and balance even further. Click on it and keep going. Your future self will thank you.